to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle, LaPorte County's original social media. Sound Off is a public interest forum that encourages your voice to be heard on the topics and issues impacting our local communities. We invite you to be part of the conversation by calling or texting 219-362-0522. You may also email your questions to soundoff at 967theeagle.com. This is a topic-based program, and we ask that you keep your comments brief, concise, and related to the topic being discussed. The views expressed on Sound Off are those of the hosts or callers and do not represent the opinion of 96.7 The Eagle, Spoon River Media, LLC, or the sponsors. The on-air line is now open for your calls or texts at 219-362-0522. And now, Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
And a pleasant good Monday afternoon. Welcome to Sound Off. Stan Maddox here. We have a guest on our program. Our guest today, State Representative Jim Pressel. So give us a call or send us a text message. That number one more time, 219-362-0522. 362-0522. That's our number here to ask a question or send a text message for State Representative Jim Pressel. Jim, thanks for coming on Sound Off today.
Good afternoon, Stan. Happy to be here as normal. Thanks for having me on. Sounds like we've got some technical, I can't really hear anything through the headset. Technical difficulties here.
So we have Meatball here. He's our guru. He's working on it right now. All right. Well, I'm glad you made it in. Pretty hot and humid out there.
Oh, it is. You just about melt with this 100% humidity walking from your vehicle 20, 30 feet into whatever building or wherever you're headed. So, yeah, it's a good day to be inside this afternoon. I feel kind of bad for folks getting set up for the fair down in Stark County. We've got the fair going on down there this week, and it's extremely hot, and there are lots of fans and cooling stations, and they're getting set up for it. But summer's definitely here.
Yeah, you can say that again. Heat advisories, cooling centers. LaPorte County Fair, of course, is coming up beginning right after the 4th of July. So hopefully things will cool off just a bit for the LaPorte County Fair.
Yeah, just a little bit. A little bit, maybe.
And, of course, 4th of July is right around the corner. Are you going to be in the parade as usual here in LaPorte?
Absolutely be in the parade. I enjoy getting out, throwing some candy around, seeing people I haven't seen for a while. And what a great event, the LaPorte County Parade or LaPorte City Parade. I'm not sure whose parade it is, but we're capital for a day. It's always an exciting time. It's a great weekend to just get out and celebrate the 4th of July, celebrate our country.
Yeah, it's a patriotic time of year, that's for sure. So the state legislative session, of course, ended at the end of April. Have you been working on anything? Have you been working on anything yet for next year's session?
You know, some of the things, so short answer, yes, are already started up. So July 1st will be the first time that I'm meeting with NDOT and the County Sheriff's Department from LaPorte County and St. Joe County in discussions with the entirety of 20 and what's going on up there. How do we control it better? NDOT and myself have had multiple meetings on it. Now I think it's time to step that up and let's involve law enforcement, and then we're going to bring in EMS and first responders to get an overall take on it. What do we need to correct the behavior of drivers on 20, number one, and then number two is with the work being done in St. Joe County with the Amazon facility and the GM facility, that traffic is going to be outrageous. All right, we're going to have a lot of it for some period of time. And then even when the construction's done, we are still going to have a lot of traffic in that area. How are we going to handle it? What improvements do we need to make other than the interchange? How can we get traffic out of there so that people are safer? And how do we monitor and control the behaviors of the speed? I mean, speed is probably one of the biggest issues on 20 that contributes to the accidents that we're having up there. So somehow we have to figure that out, but it's going to take all of us kind of together on what will work rather than NDOT making a stab at it or the General Assembly trying to make a stab at it, which we don't do. But getting law enforcement involved, I think, is the next step. So that's July 1st, and we'll see how those go.
Of course, the reconstruction of US 20, that's happening. It's in its early stages, but when it's all done, we're going to have left-hand turn lanes on US 20, more of them.
Yes.
Going from, just east of Michigan City to the Dog Bone, just east of Rolling Prairie. Do you think there will be a need to do a lot regarding safety once those left-hand turn lanes are installed?
So I know they're going to help a lot. Those projects have been a long time in the coming, and we're finally to that day where we've done the engineering, we've done the bidding part of it. Now we're doing the work. Utilities are still getting moved, and we're starting to see that progress up there. And I think that's going to have a huge impact on it from the vehicles that are stopped trying to turn, right? But it won't do enough, in my mind, to control distracted driving. It doesn't do enough, in my mind, to control the excessive speeds that are up there. So I don't know what that looks like to fix it. So that's why I'm reaching out to figure out how do we collectively put this in place. And I think it's more enforcement. How do you pay for that more enforcement, and what type of enforcement is it? Is it a coalition with the state police and the county? I mean, how do we do that? So this next step of getting with law enforcement and trying to hammer that out and see what their ideas are. They're up there patrolling it already and doing a good job up there. We just need more law enforcement up there is what I'm thinking, but they may tell me something different.
Okay, and so that, I guess you'd call it a summit. That's July the 1st.
Yeah, that's the next scheduled meeting. So July the 1st, I'll meet with the law enforcement folks along with NDOT and the NDOT engineers, just to kind of get that conversation going, bringing them into the fold.
All right. Governor Braun signed the bill allowing it to be easier to turn interstate highways into toll roads here in the state of Indiana. What does that mean? What's the process to follow now? I mean, the governor just can't do this by himself, right? He's got to have federal approval or seek federal approval?
He does. So, and I'm glad you brought that up. So tolling was a big issue this year. It's still an issue out there. There's a lot of misnomers out there. There's a lot of bad information out there. So if you go back to 2017 when Indiana increased the gas tax by 10 cents a gallon, in 2017, the governor was given authority without the General Assembly to create a tollway, a toll road without the General Assembly, should that administration need to do it, along with a study that came back, I believe, in 2019 to see what the pros were, see what the cons are, what's the revenue. Don't jump into something. You should know what you're getting into. The administration at that time chose not to do anything with it. The administration at this time may choose not to do anything with it. The governor does have the ability to do that without the General Assembly, but that has existed since 2017. That didn't just change this year. One small part in there said that you couldn't have the first, and I'll emphasize that, the very first tollway could not be within 75 miles of an existing toll road. So it means the second could. So there are many different ways that the governor could have done, even prior to 2017, to create a tollway. So if you create additional capacity, add a lane on an interstate, you could toll that section of interstate without federal approval. That could be done prior to 2017. If you replace a bridge on an interstate or do substantial work to it, so a complete redecking of a bridge and new asphalt, you could toll the intersection in front of that bridge to the intersection after that bridge. And you could continue that process. It requires no federal highway waiver. So if you wanted to toll an entire interstate, you have to have federal approval. So there are 4 highway waivers from the Fed that are available. Missouri holds one of those. They've never done anything with it. Indiana may apply for it. They may not apply for it. I don't know. It's in the governor's hands at this point. If that's something that the administration wants to do. But without that waiver, he wouldn't be able to toll the entire interstate. And again, they could do that prior to 2017. Now, the concerns of we're going to toll Highway 20, we're going to toll Highway 6. I mean, those are just so far out there. I don't even know how you begin to do that. Toll 94. I don't know how you do that either, because how are you going to add capacity to it? How do you make that happen to get that waiver? And honestly, I don't think that was ever a target. So this cleaned up the whole statute, got rid of the requirements for the governor to be able to have the ability and to do whatever he feels needs to be done at any given time. Now, that being said, the General Assembly can still step in and say, no. We meet every year. Okay. Every year we meet.
So the General Assembly can actually veto the governor on this.
Yeah. We have a supermajority, both chambers. So it's possible that if for some reason the administration, and think long term, right, down the road, maybe it's 20 years out before an administration wants to exercise this. Maybe it's 10 years out. Maybe it never happens at all. But if it does, that General Assembly can come in there and redo anything. That law is on the books to allow them to implement, should they see the need, without direct approval. But we can come back and say no.
Okay. Could the governor override a veto by the legislature on this?
Well, I suppose if there was not a supermajority in place, and if the General Assembly felt strongly enough with a supermajority, there's no way he can override a veto, right? So it just takes a simple majority to overturn a veto.
Okay. So this bill, really doesn't change much, it sounds. Well, what does it change from what could occur since 2017?
Well, the only thing it did was it removed that piece that said that the first tollway couldn't be within 75 miles. Right?
Okay.
Leaves
so
all
now the first
open.
one, the first one could be I-94.
It could be 65. It could be 69. It could be 65 north out of Louisville. It could be 69 coming out of Evansville, where we just created the new interstate there. All options are on the table, right? So that was part of that with that tolling part, or the non-tolling bill is what I called it. It's options open. Part of that was also conversations that came out of a 2-year task force to figure out how are we going to handle a shortfall of about $1.2 billion to $1.5 billion every year in state road funding and another $1 billion in local road funding. How do you replace that revenue? So I think you got to take a step back and you got to figure out and really look at, this is how we fund roads, right? We fund it through a gas tax. Everything we collect at the pump goes to the roads. Nothing out of the general fund, meaning your sales tax dollars do not go in there other than the gas that you purchase. That's still subject to sales tax. Your income tax dollars do not go in there. There's no other dollars that go in there. It's a user pay system. Now, if your model is based on gallons sold, as we all get better mileage, we receive less revenue. Now, everyone has experienced 40%, 30% increases since 2020, right? Road funding, no different. Projects that used to be, I use an interchange, for example, a $21 million interchange in 2021 is now about $38 million. So as we receive less revenue from the gas tax, because again, we do not subsidize, we do not share dollars with the general fund into road funding. Road funding does not go into the general fund. Two totally different buckets of money. So that begs the question, where do you make that up? Are you just going to do more with less? I like that idea. I absolutely do. We have canceled 300 projects from last October to current. And when I say canceled, we postponed them. So if you think in different parts of the state, like we've been waiting forever to get this 20 project up, because it takes 5 years to get through the queue, to get it engineered, to get it set up, to get it bid out. Once you've got that in place, what would the reaction be if we weren't able to do that because we couldn't fund it?
Right.
So, and then you look at the local need also. So the locals also share in the gas tax. So 61%, I believe, or 62% is state revenue. 38% is local revenue. The mix-up or the match-up, I guess, of registrations, very, very similar. So it's about a 62-38 split is what stays here local. So again, when those revenues drop, if the solution is do nothing, then maybe that's the road we should go down, no pun intended. But if we want to continue to build infrastructure, to update and have these safety improvement projects, then collectively we need to come together and figure out how are we going to fund that into the future. Now, a lot of people will go right away, they go to EVs and hybrids, right? EVs are killing us. They're not paying their fair share. Well, they are paying. They're paying an additional $225 on their registration because they don't buy gas. Typical driver in Indiana spends about $250 in gas tax over the year. It's just math. Absolutely just math. Mm-hmm. So they're paying their share of it too. The hybrids are actually paying a little bit more because they're paying on registration plus they're paying for the gas. 7.2 million vehicles registered in Indiana. I think that's big numbers, but only 27,000 plug-in EVs registered in Indiana. Now, we did do 2 years ago through the motor carriers, we went and we addressed trying to get in front of things on hydrogen vehicles. Should that ever get out there, right? They're not going to pay a gas tax, fuel tax. That's 57 cents, I think, is what they pay on the diesel motor fuel carriers tax. So if you've got that going on, they're going to EVs and the Amazon vehicles, the little 16,000-pound vans that come out there. So they should be paying for that also. So Amazon, a lot of the deliveries like that have agreed to buy Indiana plates so that they pay that excess. So they are included in this also. So it's kind of moving in that direction. It's huge conversations. Another big part of that bill that there's just some bad info out there on the community crossings part. So community crossings, you'll hear it called CCMG or community crossings. It's a matching grant process that we put in place back in 2017. 2017, we put $100 million in it. That pot has grown to $220 million, and it'll probably be $230 million next year. So locals, depending on the size, can apply for a matching grant. They can do, I believe it's up to $1.5 million was the last call. Next call may be $1 million. When it started, it was $1 million. So it's bounced around a little bit. So wheel tax comes up. Wheel tax is not a condition of community crossings. Community crossings exists exactly like it did before that bill passed. Community crossings does have another bucket of money in it now, that if you do have a wheel tax, you'll get a distribution based on lane miles that will be a steady stream, just like local roads and streets. So you don't have to engineer a project. You don't have to have a match. The only requirement is you would have to have a wheel tax. Now, the wheel tax in itself is adopted locally. Those dollars all stay here locally. They never go to the state. It's like your property tax, right? The property tax dollars do not go to the state. They all stay here locally. So does a wheel tax. So communities that need the additional revenue or want to participate in this, their local governments need to have a conversation and decide, is that something we want? Have a conversation with your constituents. Is this something we want to do in order to maintain our bridges, maintain our infrastructure? If it is, great. Then it's up to them to do it. This is not a one-size-fits-all approach. And if they don't want to do it, that's fine too. They can still have community crossings just like they did previous.
But if they adopt the wheel tax, they'll get a bonus or something?
They get it. They get a distribution of regular dollars. So, we talked about the 62% 38 split. So it would increase on that 38 side. So into local roads and streets. So like, for instance, if Marshall County adopted it, I think they would receive $1.3 million as a distribution instead of the $1 million matching grant. Some communities would be smaller, like LaPorte City has a wheel tax. They are going to receive $300,000 as a regular stream of dollars, and they will be able to go to regular community crossings to make up the difference. But if they don't need to apply for it, if they don't want to engineer a project for it, if they just need it for maintenance, they can use it for that. It has to go into preservation and maintenance.
Okay, gotcha. All right, let's take a quick commercial break. Our guest once again, State Representative Jim Pressel. We'll come back to Sound Off after this.
Hello, this is Dale Nowes with Cutler Funeral Home and Cremation Center. Caring friends are always available when you need them the most. At Cutler Funeral Home and Cremation Center, We make available caring, compassionate grief counseling before, during, and long after you have experienced the loss of a loved one. Whether your funeral arrangements were with us or another funeral home, Caring Voices is a service that will connect you with master-level counselors anytime you need a listening ear. Allow us to help you and those around you to start on a pathway to healing. Don't suffer alone during your time of loss. Comfort and understanding flow through Caring Voices, provided exclusively at no expense to you by Cutlers. Call us at 219-362-2828. That's 219-362-2828. Or stop by to find out more about Caring Voices.
They say home is where the heart is, but let's be honest, it's also where the fastest Wi-Fi is. That's why we love Surf Internet's 2-gig fiber-fast service. Streaming multiple devices or just working from home, it just works for us. No stress, no glitches, no drama. Just fast local service that made cutting the cord an easy switch for our family. Want to love your internet again? Contact Surf Internet today. From Zoom calls to movie nights, Surf's got you covered. Visit surfinternet.com to get started.
Life doesn't stop at Brentwood at LaPorte. It thrives. Imagine a place where vibrant lifestyles meet compassionate care. At Brentwood at LaPorte, our residents enjoy engaging activities, new friendships, and the freedom to live fully, all while receiving the personalized support they need. Whether it's memory care or assisted living, we're here to make every day meaningful. From gardening to game nights, delicious meals to cozy spaces, Brentwood at LaPorte is where life blossoms. Discover a community that feels like home. Call Brentwood at LaPorte today or visit us online to schedule your tour. Because at Brentwood at LaPorte, life begins anew.
This forecast has been brought to you by Kingsford Discount Liquors, conveniently located next to BP Amico in Kingsford Heights. They have the best selection of beer, wine, and spirits at unbeatable prices. Kingsford Discount Liquors, your one stop for gas, fried chicken, and liquor.
Michiana weather. Highs level off around 94 this afternoon under mainly sunny skies. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Slight chance of thunderstorms. Lows level off around 75. From the Weather Center at HometownNewsNow.com. Currently 91.
What are you waiting for? The lines are open on Sound Off. Text or dial your questions now to 362-0522. That's 362-0522. Now, back to LaPorte County's original social media. Sound Off on 96.7. The Eagle.
And welcome back to Sound Off. Our guest again, State Representative Jim Pressel. Jim, we have a text message. Somebody is asking, is there anything we can do about the tracks in Stillwell? They're getting ridiculous.
Absolutely. I believe that is, it's not the CN, and I'm drawing a blank for it here, but we do have a connection for them over there in South Bend. I had reached out to him last week. I haven't heard anything back from him, so I will put that on my list of to-dos and reach back out. Yeah, that seems like that crossing gets changed about every 4 or 5 years. I don't know why we can't do something, or they can't do something that would last longer than that. But those railroad ties just get beat to death through there. So I will reach out again to them and see what we can get done.
Okay. Somebody is saying legalize marijuana, then there's no need for a toll road.
Well, so interesting, right? And again, it's just math. It's dollars in, dollars out. So last data I had, Michigan is receiving about $300 million a year in revenue from legalization of marijuana. Now, I believe that they legalized the recreational and medicinal. So if Indiana did medicinal, we would receive no additional dollars for that because we don't tax any kind of medicine in Indiana, and I believe that's the right thing to do. We shouldn't be taxing that. So I don't know how much that breakdown is, or if Michigan does that, but $300 million is a large chunk of change, and it would definitely put a dent in it. Now we're talking about a $1.2 billion shortfall on the state side. We're talking about a $1 billion shortfall on the local side. So 2.5, 2.2, just round it to $2 billion. $300 million is not going to solve that problem.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't even come close. Let's take our telephone call right now. You're on Sound Off with Jim Pressel.
Hello, Representative Pressel. This is Dwayne Miller, Center Township Board member.
Good to hear from you.
Hey, yeah, thanks. I wondered if you could explain to the listening public that portion of the bill that has to do with quote-unquote excess revenue that's
Sure,
could be used
for townships?
road funding.
Yeah.
From township government.
Absolutely.
I'll let you explain that, and I'll hang up.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
And thanks for the question, Dwayne. So, yeah, there was a lot of things in there. That was a committee bill, so the committee members had huge input into a lot of different things in there. So it was a collective coming out of the committee. That bill did come out of committee, unanimous. It had bipartisan support. There was not a no vote in the committee, and I think that's because they all really participated in it. We had a lot of good conversation over what should move forward as far as the conversations. So the particular part you're talking about is in reference to townships, township excess revenues. So in the state, townships are setting on a little over $1 billion in excess revenues. And when I say excess, I mean above what their budget was, above what they spent for last year, their savings. Now there's fire cum fund, there's all kinds of different silos of dollars in there. This would be in excess of making those payments, or if they bonded for a new fire station, if they bonded for a new fire truck, take out the expense, the debt service on that, if you will, making the payment. Anything up to 30% of their excess would be eligible for a road funding safety improvement project within the township that generated that revenue. So it couldn't leave the township. And then the township has to actually approve that. So nobody can take the dollars from them. So I'll use Center Township for an example. If Center Township had, we'll say it's $200,000, and because most of it is in the city of LaPorte, some of it's in the county. If the county had a project and said, hey, look, we're like $200K short, would you like to participate in this? Yes or no? So the board then has to take an affirmative vote to say, yes, this is something we think our taxpayers would like to help fund if it gets, an extra half a mile done, or maybe gets sidewalks put in, or whatever the case may be. Never before were they able to use those dollars like that. So the safety nets are the township board has to vote for it. The dollars have to stay within the township that raised that revenue. And I think that's good, right? That's good policy that if I'm in Center Township, I don't want my Center Township tax dollars going to another township.
Right.
I think that's fair, and it's prudent use of taxpayer dollars.
Okay. Somebody is saying the $2 an increase, $2 increase for a pack of cigarettes, a tax increase by $2 starts July the 1st. Where are those funds going to be? How are they going to be used?
So those dollars 100% go into Medicaid. Smoking, it's your choice. You can smoke if you want. You don't have to smoke. Not really a big fan of what I would call the sin taxes. Anything like that. But what I am a fan of is the user fee system, right? So that is the biggest burden on our Medicaid system completely. We took a huge cut from our federal Medicaid dollars this year. So the $2 will go directly into Medicaid to basically help for folks that, I guess you couldn't say it's just specific to those. There's no way to track that. But since smoking and smoking-related illnesses are the biggest part of Medicaid for right now, that's going to backstop that.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, we got to take another commercial break. Stay with us here in Sound Off.
When you're looking for new appliances, Menards is the place to shop. You'll find a great selection, the best prices, and great brands that are ready to take home today. Whether it's for laundry or for the kitchen, big or small, you're sure to find the right appliances to fit your lifestyle. Right now, save big money on new appliances at Menards. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for more great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
Deep River Water Park is now open for our 30th season, and we've lowered all admission prices. For starters, splash Monday through Thursday for only $30, and 3 special events are only $15. Check out DeepRiverWaterPark.com and subscribe to our e-news.
Deep River Water Park, Simply Splash-tastic.
96.7 The Eagle. Coming up on the Tuesday edition of the Morning Mayhem, it's Stump the Mayor with LaPorte City Mayor Tom Dermody, beginning at 6:30. Of course, Stan Maddox will have your local news. Wayne Mahar's got your forecast. And I, Dennis Siddell, have plenty of country music. So make sure you tune in for the Tuesday edition of the Morning Mayhem to play Stump the Mayor with me, won't you? Right here on 96.7 The Eagle. With so many things going on around the area, it's hard to keep up with this or that taking place, especially when the weekend arrives and you're looking for something to do and all of a sudden you forgot. Well, not anymore. Let us introduce you to the Weekend Entertainment Guide. Heard every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday right here. We'll list your nonprofit event on the air for everyone to hear. Also, we'll list it on our website at hometownnewsnow.com for others to see. Just visit hometownnewsnow.com. Click on the Submit tab and fill out the form and contact us for payment as we take credit or debit cards. It's the Weekend Entertainment Guide, Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays here at hometownnewsnow.com.
Your opinion matters. We invite you to share it by calling the on-air line at 362-0522. That's 362-0522. Now, back to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
And welcome back to Sound Off. Our guest again, State Representative Jim Pressel, 362-0522. We got another text message here, Jim. They're asking, when will State Road 104 be back open to Walkerton?
You know, I think that opens up before fall harvest season. They should be done and completed with that, and the same applies to the bridge work there out in front of Kingsford Heights on 6. So those should be wrapped up before fall.
Okay. You know, just to kind of reiterate, we were talking about the toll road bill. You were saying there's one waiver. There's 4 waivers out there. Indiana could, in the nation, in the whole nation, there's 4 waivers, right. And if Indiana applied for one and received the one waiver, they can only use that waiver for one interstate.
That is correct.
And it's not like the governor can go in there and just start tolling all the interstates like some of these misleading headlines are leading people to believe.
That is absolutely correct, Stan. You've got the story, right? So the waiver is specific to a section of interstate, an interstate, and they make the application, INDOT in the conjunction with the governor's office. My understanding how this would work out would be they make an application for a specific interstate. If approved by federal highway, then the administration would then have that in their pocket, similar to what Missouri did, right? They've never implemented it, but they have that in their pocket should the need arise or should they feel like that's something they want to do. But it's not a blanket. It doesn't say you can toll any interstate you want in Indiana. You can toll any state road you want in Indiana. That is so far from the truth. It drives me crazy that those stories are even floating around out there. It is very specific. It is very, very specific. One of the ones about 94. We're going to toll 94. Well, there are conditions on how you can toll an interstate. You have to add capacity. Right? Where are you going to add lanes on 94? I don't know. So it's not even an option. So, to your question, it is one specific interstate. It is not all interstates.
Okay. Yeah, I keep seeing these headlines, and I'm like, well, wait a second. And it's just one if they apply and get the waiver.
Yeah. So I guess if you're reading the headlines, you could go, well, it could be any of them. Well, that could be true. Right? It could be any of them, but they would only be able to do one specific if he chose to do that. I don't even know where the governor's at on this.
Okay. You know, we had Center Township trustee Lisa Pierzakowski on Sound Off Friday. She announced she's seeking a third term if reelected. She's kind of worried whether she'll get to serve her whole 4-year term. She's thinking the legislature might try to abolish township government before then. What's your crystal ball?
Well, so I'm probably the first one, and I've said this, I think, all 9 years that I've been in the General Assembly, is there is a need throughout the state, and there's a need throughout LaPorte County to consolidate some of these townships, right? So the taxpayer really needs to see the benefit of their tax dollars, and if a township does exist, they're charged with fire protection. they're charged with. We have to take care of the needy. They have to take care of a park if they own a park or a cemetery, right? So those are the big obligations of it right there. So we've got some really good trustees. I'm not knocking any of them. We got some great trustees in LaPorte County, and I would tell you that we have townships in LaPorte County that really they don't have a park, they don't have a cemetery. They get fire protection from another township and they contract. They have to pay that. So what is the need for that township government to exist? Would the people be better served, and would it be less expensive to them on their township tax dollars if they were to be consolidated with maybe who does their fire protection, or maybe it's a territory? I don't know. There's a whole gamut of what ifs. But a consolidation of townships, I think, is good government. We need to shrink government, not grow it. We need to be more efficient in government and how we spend tax dollars. We need to be cognizant of all of that as we're making these decisions. So I have voted for some form of township consolidation probably 3 times. It's never been successful in the Senate. The Senate won't even hear the bill or a bill that consolidates township government. So I don't know. Love Lisa to death. I don't know where she's getting that information, or maybe because it comes up so many times that she's just getting a little gun shy from it. But I think her job, especially with Center Township, is probably absolutely fine. There is a conversation that was started last year, didn't go anywhere. Should a township exist within an incorporated area? So should Center Township exist within the city of LaPorte? Because it's kind of duplicative services in some respect. Now, Center Township is outside of the city limits also, but could the city take care of that, and would the taxpayer see a financial benefit and no reduction in services? Maybe, and I think that's a good conversation that township government should be having with local government. The state doesn't have to decide that for them. The tools are there right now. To where they can have those conversations and decide what works for them.
Okay, yeah. But would that put a burden on, say, the city of LaPorte if they had the added responsibility of taking care of the needy?
You know, that's a great question. That's why I say those local governments should get together and do that. Is there an opportunity? I mean, we've got some great philanthropy organizations, Unity, United Way. Is there an opportunity for them to step into this? Would they like to do that? Is there other ways to do this that saves taxpayers dollars and does not lose services that are already being provided? And I think that's the key, right? Be more efficient.
Okay. It doesn't hurt to talk about it.
It never hurts to talk about it. Have the conversation.
Yeah, you got to have a conversation to come up with a solution, right?
That's right.
Any particular law on July the 1st? Of course, all the legislation that was passed this past spring, all those take effect July 1st, right?
Yeah, some of them are already gone into effect. So some laws that get signed by the governor actually take effect when he signs it. And the majority take effect July 1. So it depends on what was in the actual legislation. So the majority will take effect on July 1st. One of those is going to be the advertising illegal substances in Indiana. So the billboards with marijuana advertisements, the mailers, any kind of media that is advertising an illegal product, which would be criminal activity in Indiana, will now be prohibited, and the Attorney General can go after them. So I find it a little bit disheartening, though, that one of the dispensaries over in Niles bought 10 years worth of billboards.
Yeah, if they have a 10-year contract, they don't have to take them down, right? Because that contract existed before the law takes effect, right?
Yeah, so when that took place, I think it was fair to say that nobody wanted to affect anyone's contract in private business, right? If I'm the billboard company or if I'm the dispensary, there was nothing on the books, and I'm buying an advertisement that is legal at the time. So government really shouldn't go back and unwind that. Now, I'm getting some calls from other legislators and constituents going, well, what are you going to do about this? And I'm like, well, I don't know that government should unwind these things, but then you take a look and go, well, that dispensary in particular knew what the legislation was, and they just looked for a loophole to get through it, knowing the intent. So I don't know. We'll see what the Attorney General wants to do with it. We'll have those conversations. I don't know that we do anything with it. I don't know that we can do anything with it. One of the new medias that came up, and I don't know that this piece of legislation covered it or not, was on Mother's Day. One particular dispensary out of New Buffalo was flying an airplane around with a banner, and it said, "Mom loves X, this dispensary." And I'm like, I don't know how you put a stop to that, but it's definitely not as offensive as getting those mailers. I had so many complaints about the mailers. The billboards were secondary, but it was those mailers, and it was this traveling truck that would park downtown on Lincoln Way, park in front of the parks. And it's still illegal in Indiana. Separate conversation about making it legal. It is not a conversation about trying to hide it from the public. I think we all know it exists in Michigan. We all know it exists in Illinois. It has nothing to do with that. But there are folks that just don't want to be bothered with this. And I agree with them. Mm-hmm. We shouldn't have to put up with something advertised that's illegal in this state.
Right. Final thoughts. We only have about 30 seconds.
So 4th of July coming up, LaPorte County Fair, Stark County Fair. Get out and enjoy the community. Get out and celebrate the 4th. It's such a great time. Get out and do something.
Right.
And any questions you got, feel free. Please reach out to me. I'd rather have conversations about what is fact versus what is fiction. So just like always, my cell phone number is 219-608-9927. Thanks for having me.
All right, Jim, thanks a lot for coming on Sound Off. Look forward to your next visit. That'll do it. We'll see you on Sound Off on Friday. Until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us and voicing your opinion on this edition of Sound Off. The views expressed on Sound Off are those of the host or callers and do not represent the opinion of 96.7 The Eagle, Spoon River Media, LLC, or the sponsors. Sound Off airs live every Monday and Friday, immediately following Update 12 News, and is available online after the show is over under the podcast menu at hometownnewsnow.com. Mark your calendar and join us again for the next edition of Sound Off, right here on 96.7 The Eagle.